We open the capsule, we release the muesli, and we pop the cap. Cannevel Valdobbiadene Brut Cetage. The color is straw yellow. It's a vivid color, very refined. On the nose, there's a clear aroma of golden apple, but the character of the spumante is much more blended, as there's a smelling note. There's a hint of spices. It has an elegant taste. It's graceful. It's a well-balanced blend. But we can taste a hint of Chardonnay. 10% to be precise, because this product is 10% Chardonnay and 90% Glera. It's firm on the tongue. The drinkability of this product and its elegance blends with its versatility. It's perfect to be paired with a meal or an aperitivo, but it's also great in a convivial situation that doesn't involve food.
It's fascinating to me. Ever since I started my job at Masi Technical Group, I just wanted to be ready to experience the sensorial analysis properly. Of course, for some it's a natural gift, but there are undoubtedly some things that you can learn along the way. Anyone can taste wines like a professional. It might take some time though, and it sure takes a bit of memory, of olfactory memory, because you need to focus and you need to single out the aromas, the flavors and the tastes. And then you need to remember where you smelled and tasted those things for the first time. And it might be anywhere, not necessarily in other wines. As I said, all these aspects are fascinating to me. They drew me closer to the wine world. They made me want to understand it better. I believe this is the biggest challenge for any wine lover. Consumers often feel kind of concerned when a sommelier tries to sell a bottle. When they drink a sample at a restaurant, for example, they even feel kind of ashamed. That's why I don't think this is always the best option. During our Masi Wine Experience events, I want every wine consumer or wine lover to feel relaxed. I always say, to each his own. You know, the fact that you like something or dislike something is entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong answer here. You decide, not me. You decide what's the best taste for you, what's the best accompaniment, what's the best occasion to drink it. Wine is supposed to be a pleasant experience, not a complicated concept.
Drinking a glass of wine should always be easy for everyone. It should be a nice and joyful moment. That's what we want to provide with the Masi Wine Experience.
The Masi Wine Experience is a chance to get to know our brand. It's a Masi experience, not necessarily a wine experience. Of course, there's wine involved, but the Masi identity is the most important factor. Masi wine has a distinctive Masi taste, and drinking a Masi wine should always be, as I said, a pleasant experience. If you're a professional, it's all good. But if you're a consumer, you're supposed to feel relaxed, not intimidated, and enjoy it all the same. It's like driving a car. You can enjoy it even though you're not a pilot. If you're not a pilot, you might like the shape of the car or the roar of the engine. If you're a pilot, you like those same things, but you also have to pay attention to the right tires, the right brakes, and so on. So, you know, the Masi Wine Experience welcomes you to a world that has its own values, all those unique features that have been developing over years and years, over entire generations. It's our family's style. I still remember my early days in the company. My uncle Sergio supervised the Masi Technical Group back then and used to tell me, "You must assimilate this expertise, which is not a technical skill, but it's all in the values. It's the way we conceive wine, the way our grandfather taught us. This is like our DNA, our company's DNA, and most importantly, our family's DNA." The Masi Wine Experience is our way to share this DNA, to let everyone be part of this tradition, to learn about it through a whole range of different activities. like food experiences or recreational experiences, such as picnics in the vineyard. For example, one of the most appreciated activities is our calligraphy course. There's no better place than Dante Alighieri's home, right?
A casa di Dante Alighieri.
Raffaele Boscaini, member of the 7th generation of a family that has been making wine for 250 years, says that there's a unique DNA in the Masi wine, a DNA that can be shared with anyone who wants to find out more about it. This is the story of a tradition, but more importantly, it's the story of a family, a company, and a wine that made the culture of time the key to their success. My name is Matteo Caccia. Welcome to The Magic of Time, 250 Years of Masi.
The Masi Wine Experience is a strategic project that we elaborated when we realized that we needed to implement the activities of our partners during the distribution process of our products. These implementations had to focus on a broader marketing strategy for our brand, for our company, and we knew we could count on our own resources. So we came up with this project with the goal to build a stronger and more direct relationship with our final consumers and to make them explore two fundamental aspects. Firstly, we want them to find out more about our wine list. We have over 50 different wines, but if you go to a restaurant, even if you are a connoisseur of our products, you only get about 7, 8, 9, or 10 of them. And secondly, we want our consumers to experience all those values behind the brand. There are essentially two types of values: the values of the territory, the classic Valpolicella and the Venezie, which is our footprint, but there are also the values of the family, the Boscainis, who've been enriching the brand with several connotations over the years. That's why we started a lot of different activities, focusing both on the final consumer and on several strategies to improve the access to our central resources for our partners scattered all over different markets, to inform a brand marketing strategy in different territories. We also opened a series of brand houses, so essentially monobrand points where consumers can directly take our activities. At first, we opened the doors of our winery, but then we decided to go straight to the consumers. We went to cities like Cortina d'Ampezzo and recently to Munich in Maximilianstrasse. This is an important evolutionary step in the Masi Wine Experience, by the way. It's still a wine experience. We are a wine brand after all. But we opened up to more luxury venues. You know, Maximilianstrasse is the Monte Napoleone of Munich. So in a way, we're giving our brand a new meaning, more lifestyle-oriented.
Dando al brand del vino dei significati addizionali, dei significati sempre più lifestyle.
That was Federico Girotto, CEO of Masi Agricola. He's proud of the Masi Wine Experience. He considers this project to be a strategic step in creating solid relationships with consumers, allowing them to find out more about the over 50 wines of the company, as well as bringing them together under the values of the brand, the values of tradition and the values of the territory.
Tutte le nostre cantine sono visitabili con appuntamento e con un percorso.
You can book a tour in all our wine cellars. They're open to the public. You take a tour, and at the end, we'll be right there to meet our consumers, to talk about our values, to let visitors taste our wines and learn about them.
I ristoranti sono a Tenuta Canova.
At the moment, we have restaurants and 3 stores. The restaurants are at the Canova estate along the Garda Lake, in Munich, which is the latest one, and we also opened a lodge in Cortina d'Ampezzo, along the Tavana slope.
Ci sono tutti I nostri prodotti.
All of these places are monobrand points. They have all of our products, and people can go and try them, along with a selection of food designed specifically for the occasion. They're mostly recipes from our Venezia area, but not necessarily typical of the Venetian tradition. They belong to our tradition, but they have an international appeal, and in many cases were designed specifically to go with some of our wines. However, I would say 60% of these recipes contain wine as an ingredient. And we came up with this brilliant solution. If you go to a Masi wine bar, you are handed the wine list. And in the list, you find a selection of dishes. But you need to choose your wine first. And the food goes accordingly. We called this method wine first. Then, as I said, we also opened 3 stores where you can find the whole catalogue of Masi. One is in Lazzise, one in Asserego Alighieri estate, and one in the Valdobbiadene area, in the Cannevel winery.
Nella zona di Valdobbiadene, nella tenuta Cannevel. È un posto incantevole.
This is a wonderful place. You really feel out of this world. The entire vineyard is surrounded by this stone boundary wall. It feels like you're like back in the 14th century. You can almost imagine somewhere in the background this image of people riding on horseback, delivering letters to the count in his castle.
Portano delle missive per il conte.
Visiting the cellars, staying at one of the historical, beautiful wineries, promenading around the vineyard, tasting a dish designed specifically to go with a certain wine, enjoying a guided wine tasting tour. These are just some of the activities that you can do during the Masi Wine Experience.
Let's go inside and through the tavern. We'll pass the kitchen. The guy's already at work there.
During my stay in Valpolicella, I met Vito Galluzzi for the first time in a sumptuous dining hall inside the Serrego Alighieri estate.
This is not technically a restaurant. This is first and foremost a winery. We make wine and then we offer a full experience to our guests, a 360-degree experience. It's a wine-to-table experience. It means that our guests can taste all of our wines, even different vintages, and then we offer a food selection or a food choice according to the chosen wine. So we go from wine to food. Unlike, it's the opposite of what happens in a restaurant, you know. We have our wines, which are the main ingredient, and from there we design a dish that goes with a specific one. I'm Vitangelo Galluzzi, chef, food manager, and I work in hospitality services at the Masi Wine Experience.
As we sat around the table, we could immediately feel the warmth of the Boscainis. But we could also taste the delicious food prepared by Vito, who pops up from the kitchen every now and then to illustrate the dishes and the wine pairing choices.
I'm not saying that Amarone is the simplest wine to pair with a dish, but it sure is an extremely versatile wine. It goes with so many different choices, and this is part of its uniqueness. You know, the fact that it pairs so well with so many different things. You could easily pair the Amarone with a simple salami sandwich, but you could also pair it with foie gras or some type of fine meat. We're trying to break the stereotypes here. We know that white wine goes well with fish, it's true, but who said that it can't go well with pizza, too? Who said that it can't go with desserts, even? You see, red wines, and especially raisin wines, the Girotto, is one of our most important wines and one of the most important in the Valpolicella area. But in the past, it was unthinkable to pair it with chocolate. And so we decided to create a Costasera flavored chocolate. The Girotto is basically the father of Amarone. And so we're always trying to bend the rules. We try to use all these ingredients to create a new type of cuisine, a 360-degree cuisine.
Per poter ottimizzare veramente entrare in una cucina a 360 gradi.
Salute. Sei buttato avanti. Salute. A Masi.
Salute a noi, a tutti noi, per il nostro progetto.
Warmth and hospitality are embedded in the company's DNA, and the Masi Wine Experience's goal is to share it with its consumers. But these qualities are also part of the family values, even in the youngest generation. This is Alessandro, member of the 8th generation and Vito Galluzzi's collaborator.
La Masi Wine Experience
The goal of the Masi Wine Experience is to build a strong relationship with the final consumer, a more direct relationship. You know, no matter how good export managers are at representing the values of our company, it's way more effective if people directly come to our place. They can live and breathe our identity in first person. It sticks with them. And maybe someday, in front of a wine shelf, they'll see one of our bottles and they'll smile, reminiscing about that experience.
What Alessandro calls Our Place is actually a series of historical wineries, cellars, wine bars, stores, museums, and venues in Italy and abroad. In Valpolicella, there's the Cerego Alighieri winery and the Cantine Masi, where I am right now. On Lake Garda, there's the Canova winery with a wine museum, a wine shop, and restaurant. In the Veneto region, in the Valdobbiadene area, there's the Canavel winery where they make Prosecco. In Cortina d'Ampezzo, there's an exclusive wine bar along a ski slope. And abroad, there's the wine bar in Munich and, of course, the Masi Tupungato winery way down in Argentina.
Noi abbiamo il vino.
Mostly we make wine, but actually we also produce other ingredients that we use for our dishes. For example, we make organic olive oil in Tuscany and in Valpolicella, as well as at the Canova winery. There's an olive grove there. It's all organic, so it makes a great raw material. But in our estates, we also produce other quality products, such as the Vialone Nano Cerego Alighieri rice. And we also make jams. We use other local raw products, and we make jams out of our Valpolicella Cerego Alighieri cherries, or out of our chestnuts, so chestnut jam. And from here we expanded. We also started other ventures, other projects, other partnerships, such as chocolate, like I mentioned before. We have this partner who helped us develop our bean-to-bar process by growing cocoa beans and manufacturing them into chocolate bars. And the refinement process of chocolate happens alongside the Costa Serra grapes refinement process. They happen simultaneously.
Affinamento in mezzo alle uve. Questo cioccolato fa un affinamento in mezzo alle nostre uve del Costa Serra. Il più classico.
I would say the most classic and iconic dish is definitely the Amarone risotto. So the Amarone is the main ingredient. It's an essential element for this recipe. However, we didn't stop there, and we came up with other ideas. For example, we took the tradition of Venetian cicchetti, which are small shots of alcohol typical of the aperitivo, and we turned it into a wine product. So not only were we able to carry on the legacy of the Venezia, which is a distinctive trait of the Masi identity, but we also started from our tradition, and we created these tiny moxe-flavored cod crumpets. Basically, the process starts from our Verduzzo Pinot Grigio, to which we add rice flour and we obtain a batter to create these crumpets. Also, we have these Campofiorin-flavored tortelli. The Campofiorin is another famous wine of our company. We mix flour with it, and then we add the Monte Veronese, another local product. And we also make Costa Serra-flavored arancini. So we take a typical Sicilian food and revisit it in our own way, Masi style. That's how we create perfect pairings with our wines, you know. We start from wine, and then we ask ourselves, what's the best dish to go with it?
Ci costruiamo la ricetta attorno.
Wine first is the golden rule of the Masi menus. It's a simple principle. You choose the wine, and you pair it with the right food, usually a recipe from the Venetian tradition reinvented in a contemporary way.
I don't really have a favorite dish, but certainly the most successful one is the Amarone risotto. Everybody loves it, and it's suitable for children too. because the alcoholic part of it evaporates during the preparation. But the one I make is much better, though.
Quello che faccio io è più buono.
At the Canova winery, where we savored Vito's wine Cicchetti, there's also a museum dedicated to the winemaking process. At the end of the tour, visitors can also get inside a 50,000-liter wine tank to experience the fermentation process firsthand. Alessandro told me about this, and then, of course, I had to try it for myself.
The Canova Museum is a chance for everyone to see what's behind the art of winemaking. People usually see a bottle, but they don't know about all the work that's behind it. The visit to the gigantic fermentation vat is a key aspect of it. Whenever I talk to visitors, I tell them, I'll send you off to ferment, because in this tank you can experience and witness the entire process. All the aspects of wine fermentation in just about 3 minutes. We use technologies, we use devices, like projectors and sprays, that replicate the aromas and the sense of wine during this process, during the fermentation. And the floor is made of a particular material, very similar to the pomace that needed to be stepped on and crushed back in the day.
Allora, ci sono 2 tende.
Okay, so I see 2 curtains. Can I go in? I'm going in. I'm drawing the curtains. Wow. The floor is so soft. I'm inside the tank. I see juice, grape juice, dripping down from the walls. It looks like blood on the walls around me. It's weird because it's hard to stand still on this floor. It feels like I'm crushing grapes. Here comes a scent, an aroma. It's roses, cherries, and the red juice on the walls keeps just coming down and flowing. Masi Agricola is one of those companies that values the relationships with its consumers, and the Wine Experience project proves it. The values of tradition, of the territory, and most importantly, of time, are deeply rooted in the identity of the Boscainis and their collaborators.
I'm well aware of the value of time, and I don't judge it. I mean, time goes by. It's unrelenting. And what's also unrelenting is the fact that we're constantly trying to adapt to the passing of time. In the words of pre-Socratic philosophers, time has a certain length, sure, but it has a certain density too. So I believe this is an opportunity for us, as well as a duty in a way, to take advantage of the density and length of time.
Tutta la densità di questa lunghezza, ecco.
Sandro Boscaini wanted Federico Girotto by his side in the role of CEO of the company when Masi went public in 2015.
It wasn't merely a calculated operation with a financial purpose or a financial strategy, but it was more a way to open up to the world, to go out, a way to bring an innovation to the company and to the family, because after all, we've always relied on innovation as part of our identity. You know, the Boscainis have always been very respectful. They've always been very considerate of the relationship between the company and the family. Sure, they're aware of that. They know that the company belongs to the family in terms of ownership, but they also know that the company, first and foremost, belongs to a territory and to a stakeholder system. And that implies the necessity to enhance the presence of the company for the sake of the company itself, even more than for the sake of the family. So sometime at the end of 2014 and the beginning of 2015, the family decided to step up their game, so to speak. It was actually a natural step to take in their evolution. As a development strategy, they decided to go public, listing on the Italian AIM stock exchange.
Di sviluppo, quello della quotazione a quello che allora era l'AIM Italia. E infatti quando noi abbiamo fatto il roadshow.
And when we took our roadshow, we went to many different countries. It was the biggest operation in the Italian industry back then, as well as the most successful in terms of export share. Nearly half of our offer went to investors from Switzerland, Sweden, France, UK, many countries. And everybody kept asking us why we wanted to go public. They said, why are you willing to take such a step? You don't need money. You can find financial resources anywhere. You have a high rating. You're not an innovative licenser of polymers that will be projecting a double-digit growth within the coming years. On the contrary, you project solid growth, don't you? You're not an average stock company, so why do you want to go public? The answer is simple. Because we want to enhance what Michael Porter calls company infrastructure, which is essentially the glue that keeps all the company's functions together. The drive belt that makes the engine work.
Insieme alle funzioni aziendali, quella cinghia di trasmissione tra il motore e gli pneumatici che dà effettivamente la velocità di crociera di un'azienda. Questo come?
And in order to do so, we've been developing and perfecting a compliance system, which includes, for example, the presence of people from outside the company on our board, as well as public reports of data, even though this means trimestral meetings. But it's all very helpful to grow stronger as a company, and it's undoubtedly a successful method and an eye-opening strategy, because it informs some sort of self-diagnosis. You need to declare your strategies and highlight them. And today, we're working on solid strategy pillars: organic growth, investor growth, and Masi Wine Experience.
Crescita organica, crescita per linee esterne, Masi Wine Experience.
Here, there's always an eye toward the future. As I'm recording this podcast here at the Masi headquarters, Sandro Boscaini and Federico Girotto are showing me around the new facility, which is still under construction. It will become the new Borgo dell'Amarone, a facility open to anyone and a celebration of the 250 years of the company.
Noi stiamo entrando nel Masi Operations.
Well, this place will be the Masi Operations and Visitor Center. It's an important investment that we started just recently, and hopefully it's going to be ready next year. It's hard to explain what it will be like in a few words. Let's just say that it will be a huge facility. We're talking about 8,000 square meters. The facility will have three main purposes. A production purpose, because it will include a barrel cellar, and a frutaio for the appassimento of the grapes, used to make the Amarone. A huge frutaio. It'll be 9 meters high. And then it will serve as some sort of directional module, because we want to bring together the staff of our two Valpolicella sites. We want to bring them together into a single location. And then, of course, the facility will have an experiential purpose, which is the Masi Wine Experience. It will give us a chance to welcome national and international visitors every day. This area boasts a strong tourism flow, but hopefully we'll be able to get more, even more people to experience our activities, guided tours, wine tasting, the multisensorial museum experience, the shops and the trattoria Vino e Cucina.
Quindi la possibilità di acquistare il prodotto e la trattoria Vino e Cucina, ecco.
Questa sarà la piazza.
Here there will be the square. I am Mr. Amarone, and I like to call it Borgo dell'Amarone, the Amarone village. People come here and they see, they smell, they taste, and hopefully they buy the Amarone. But they'll also experience the whole process behind it. Out there is the vineyard where it all begins. Then they'll see the appassimento. They'll experience the story of the Amarone through different technologies. And they'll have a chance to taste it, to buy it, of course, and to pair it with food and wine, and even to learn about it. Because the idea is we'll hold food and wine education classes.
Questo all'interno di questa agora.
This inner agora will be illuminated by this shaft here. It will illuminate this entire covered square, but see, it blends perfectly with the environment, with the Valpolicella skyline. So it's aesthetically beautiful with this green vine-like roof. Plus, we paid great attention to environmental sustainability, so it will include solar panels and a cross ventilation system. We'll minimize the dispersion of resources and at the same time increase our technological standards, especially in the production stage. So our consumers will be able to enjoy an even better quality.
In the Garda Verona area, there are about 18 million tourists, so I'm sure this will become a huge attraction, like few others in the world.
Penso che ci siano pochi al mondo.
Scents, flavors, sensorial experiences, and hospitality. This is the Masi Wine Experience, and the stunning panorama that frames it makes it even more special. However, the Boscainis are a winemaking family. Sure, they value the territory and the products, but they also value another fundamental aspect, culture. And to promote culture, they started a foundation and created 3 different awards. But we'll talk about that in the next episode.